Emmett Rubin, Kerry Moore, Jennifer Prater, Derek Moore, Sheila Darnell, Dr. Chad White, and Sherman Bates. If during the course of this meeting, discussions of any items on the agenda is required to be held in closed session, the board will meet in executive session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Government Code Chapter 551, Subchapters D and E. Before we move to our agenda items, we will open the floor for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board must sign in at the registration desk. Shirley, you might open us up with a word of prayer?
Yes, sir. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for your grace, and I kind of pray that you're with us as we make decisions. Be with each and every one of us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Please stand for pledge.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sherman. Lisa, anybody sign up to address the board? All right, we'll move on to information items, principal updates. Start with you, Mr. Cox. We can start with Joey.
I think we're gonna be good. Joey, do you want to go?
Go ahead, Joey.
Joey Cepeda, head of safety and security here in Hamlin. It's been a good start to the school year. We haven't had any major issues or nothing that wasn't able to be resolved quickly. There's been some neat things around. I guess y'all probably noticed the one-way. That was a big. Y'all probably read all the posts on Facebook. You know, everybody hates new things, but it was a change, but it worked out. You know, we had one. What day was that? Cross country meet last week.
Wednesday.
When we hosted, it got a little crazy then, but we got Jay over here. He got it under control. So nothing too serious. Just people who come to Hamlin before, but haven't been here since we changed it, so they were a little confused. Secondly, addition of keypads. I know we talked about that last year. We've got keypads now on the field house. There's one on the southeast side of the high school building, so you can enter into the wellness center. And then there's two on each of the north ends of the gym. There's one on the northwest side and on the northeast side. And that just, it keeps us from having to, for kids propping doors open all the time, or coaches unlocking it, forgetting them when they get done with practice or start practice. And it keeps the doors locked all the time, and the kids just enter a code that opens it up for them.
And not, it's only certain hours.
Yeah, just certain times during the day.
Have you seen an improvement in that since you
Oh,
did
yeah,
that?
big time.
Good, yeah.
It's been great having that. Another thing that we just got in compliance with the House Bill 33 is that they require all campuses to have a ballistic shield and a breaching tool, a door breaching tool that we can open doors, open if they're locked for whatever reason we need it. But, we got the ballistic shields, we got one on each campus already, and the door breaching tools, they haven't arrived yet. But we are good to go on all that. Other than that, I don't think there's been anything really new. that we-
On those door breaching tools that you've got, is it,
It's a Halligan tool.
are you gonna, is it gonna be like a explanation or showing them how to kind of?
Oh, yeah, most ones that get me in with.
Okay.
And, I'll have one in my office, Jacob will have one in his, and Mr. Foyle will have one in his.
Okay. Thank you.
And we'll demonstrate, we'll go to your house and demonstrate how to do it.
And
Through the back one, I mean, through the back door.
we ordered with what Chief Strong recommended, correct?
I looked into it, Jay recommended, and they were like $8,000 to $10,000
Oh,
a
yeah.
piece.
So
So I went through D&D.
What everyone else did.
Yeah.
Surrounding
We got it.
surrounding schools.
As far as the signage goes, is the city working on getting signs?
We have, they put them up
Yeah, they
We
were up.
actually have one
Okay,
place.
I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
No, they're up.
Yeah, we got two here, so when the traffic's going from north to south, and then on every side street, there's also one.
Now, I know some of our high school folks were still going wrong
Well,
on Saturday.
They just ignore the do not enter, they're just,
The more they get stopped, the bigger signs they get.
yeah. And, last, I have to brag on the teachers, because when I gave my safety talk before the new school year, I told them that we don't have a policy here in Hamlin as far as, keeping their doors locked to the classrooms. And against my own judgment, I told them, because if y'all know me, I don't like anything gray, it's black or white. I'm pretty simple. But I told them that it was practice, not policy, and I was kind of iffy on if I wanted to tell them that or not. But before I finished with them, I shared with them that during the Uvalde shooting, that guy entered the campus through an unlocked door. And then the classroom that the kids were in, when he approached that classroom, the teacher ran to the door to try and lock it because it was unlocked to the classroom. And he fired a shot into the door to get her to back off and then entered the room through that unlocked door and shot her. But, every morning I walk the campus, I do the exterior doors every morning and most days after lunch also. But I always walk the halls too to check the classrooms. And I haven't found one single classroom that's got kids in it that was unlocked this year or open. Every one of them's been closed. Unless they're in there by themselves during their conference or something, they'll have the door open. But if there's been kids in there, it's been locked. So last year it was all the time. I would walk by and shut the door and wave at them or something, but it's been every time this year it's been good. The elementary campus has been solid. Sometimes I'll find doors that been propped open or unlocked or something, but we've been pretty good at getting on top of it, figuring out what happened and what we needed to do. We had one door that was, I guess the screws were too tight, Chris, or
Yeah.
something when they put it in. And anytime you swipe your card, it would just stay open. So I had Chris look at it, he got it figured out pretty quick. But, other than that, everything's been, the emergency operations plan, that big thick with all the stuff for the school, it's done, it's been submitted, it's just waiting for their approval. So, but it is done, it wasn't due till, October 2nd? So, but it's already done and submitted. Any questions?
Any questions for Joey? Thank you, sir.
We've added two more guardians, and we didn't have to purchase weapons for them because we had two in the vault already.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right, I'll keep it short and sweet. Typically, I usually try to have some data for you, but we're so new in the year. As far as trends, it would be hard to give you trends. You just get beginning of year data. It looks like what you would expect. We didn't see just a whole lot of slide from end of year last year to beginning of year this year, so our kids retained a lot more than I anticipated. So that was good to see. So some things that we took our benchmarks, all of our tested grade levels, we gave them the 23-24 release star test. K through 2, we gave them MAP testing, just to get our baseline of where they're at and help us set goals for growth. Something new this year that Dr. Block brought in was 10-day quick checks. And so we're tracking those. Really, it's ongoing just about every day, but specifically during PLCs, we have a digital data tracker, and we're working on building our physical data wall in our PLC room so the teachers can go physically move the child from approaches to meets, just so we can see how they're growing throughout the year and make adjustments if we see a kid flatline or go backwards, so we can adjust quickly rather than get surprised when we hit the mid-year checkpoint. So what's new on the elementary? Obviously, the Bluebonnet curriculum. That's gone really well. Our teachers are doing a good job using it with fidelity. It's hard. It's hard for the teachers. It's hard for the kids. I had a conversation with a parent today that it's just hard.
And that's okay. You know, we talked a lot in staff meetings about productive struggle, and showing kids that it's okay to struggle, that you're getting better. Our PLC system, I put system intentionally. I've been in several different districts where we tried the PLC process, and without a strong system, it doesn't last. After about 6 weeks, it turns into just another water cooler conversation in a different room. But what we're doing with Service Center with Christy is we're building a system where teachers are internalizing their lessons, kind of flips it from what am I teaching to how am I going to teach it to reach all of our kids. It's a small change, but it has a big impact. So we're excited about that, and whenever this grant phase is over, it's something that I see being sustainable beyond my time, whatever that looks like. Also, Book Taco. So accelerated reader is kind of a thing of the past, and it's always hard to get rid of that. I was pretty thankful when I got here that accelerated reader wasn't a thing anymore, because somebody else got to be the Facebook king or queen on that deal. But Book Taco is something I've used before, and Katie had actually already been looking into it. And it's real similar. It has quizzes, some of them are vocabulary, some of them are comprehension, but the quizzes themselves are at a much deeper level of understanding than AR, but it's also fun. You know, when teachers do the reading logs, well, they can log into Book Taco and read to their little pet on Book Taco, and it has a timer and there and points, and it just makes reading fun for the kids, and instead of just something else they're required to do. So I'm just excited to see how it takes off here, because so far our kids are liking it. And then our scheduled intervention time is new. You know, we've got to be able to reach every kid where they're at. Public education in general is kind of set up to teach to the middle and hope everybody else grows along with you. But with that scheduled intervention time in math and reading, it's going to allow our teachers to build small groups and to reach those kids. And even some of our high performers may have specific skills that they're struggling in. So those groups are fluid. It's not one of those things where you're stuck in the red group all year long. Your highest performer could be in the red group for 10 days, and that's what the quick check showed, that they're missing, you know, either foundational or new knowledge with. So that one's going to be, they did it, the last 10 weeks last year at the elementary, and we all saw the growth that happened, so I'm really excited to see what happens when we do it for the whole school year. So our thing this year is honor our legacy, but embrace our future. So monthly, we're going to recognize staff and students. We didn't do students in August because we were only here for a couple of weeks. We will have September students along with September staff to brag on you. But our legacy leader, the legacy leader is just somebody that really embraces the spirit of Hamlin and the core values and just what Hamlin stands for: working hard, accepting nothing but greatness. Miss Warren, for August, that was our person within that says, she shows the true Papa spirit by putting students first in everything she does. I haven't had a conversation with Megan yet that wasn't about making things better for kids, and I can have a lot of tough conversations, as long as it's student-centered, so I really appreciate that about her. And our future builders, we are challenging our staff and our kids, so we want them to try new things and set hard goals and work towards, getting there. And so it says monthly, ambitious goals, trying new things, and demonstrating growth. So Miss Martin, she was our August future builder. There's a lot of new this year, new principal, new curriculum, new intervention time, a lot of new stuff. She's just really taking it in stride. She's been positive about it. And she is showing the personal growth that we hope to see in our kiddos. She's just embraced it and really attacked growth for herself and her kids in a way that was impressive through the first couple weeks of school. And then we had our first staff PD on September 12th, and I may be stealing some of somebody else's thunder here, but I will. So Christy and Michelle trained all staff on just the accountability system, how do those scores come about, what influences it. And I know for my folks, it was pretty impactful for our K-2 teachers to see how the work that they do this year is going to impact the accountability score next year and the years beyond. It wasn't, I want to give my props to these two ladies because it wasn't a sit and get, it was interactive, but it was also not doom and gloom. It was really like, hey, we have the potential here to make long-lasting changes to our kiddos' futures, and just great job on that. The staff really embraced it. And then after that session was over, we came back to campus, and with each grade level, Katie and I sat down and we just looked at their beginning of year data and talked through individual student goals with them. We had a few, for the most part, it was pretty cut and dry and pretty easy to navigate, but really the conversations around those handful of students that we weren't sure what kind of effort, and a lot of it was, did we get their best effort in the beginning of the year, or is this their best ability? And where do we could go from there? So just, again, the focus on individual students and not leaving anybody behind, it's been so rewarding being back home. I told someone the other day, I found my happiness at work again, and it's nothing short of just the work that you guys have done and everybody in this room and the teachers just being all in for kids, and that's what Hamlin's about. So, questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jacob and I are both taking the same superintendent class together. And so we're messaging and sharing, did you do your video? And here's the slides. So if we miss something, you'll have to forgive us. We're trying to get
Drop some more.
No, I didn't, sorry. No, some of this will just it may look like just foreign numbers to you, but I wanted you to have it in front of you whenever I talk about it. So back to what benchmarks we talked about, what Jacob talked about. We also gave the 23-24 release STAR EOCs benchmarks to our tested subjects. We will, in the spring, give last year's release STAR assessments because we always want to end with the most current assessment when we're looking at last second data to build tutorial groups for that last minute push or test. And so our CFA data, which is our content focused assessments, those are the unit tests that you hear kids say, I'm not going to take a test tomorrow, we call them CFAs. And so those are being talked about during our data trackers, during our PLCs, through data trackers and data boards. You have some data that I'm going to look at with you real quick. I do want to give a huge shout out to Christy and Michelle. They came today. They were walking in when I was leaving for a quick minute, and they did, how many walkthroughs did y'all do today? 7 or 8 walkthroughs all the way from band to whatever, and they're putting together fantastic data that they're sending to me that I'm then being able to go and talk to teachers and have conversations and just grow people. So having that extra support from the two of them was amazing. We had it last year with Christy and Michelle, but it's just been great. Now that the elementary's on track and doing what they're supposed to, it frees up both of them a little bit more to come assist me, and that's awesome. And then also, I'd like to thank all of you guys and really Dr. Block for allowing me to have an assistant principal, because I'm already getting to see the work that I'm getting to do that I could not have physically done last year, on top of everything else. I just could not have. Wanted to, knew how to do it, but without that support from all of y'all, there's no way I could be doing some of this stuff. So, on these slides, if you look at these two things that I handed you, if you look at the very top where it says, you'll see grade, and then you'll see description. And so you see 7th grade on both front sheets, right? One says benchmarks, and then one says CFA Amplify. So those are your tests that they give. This is the first 7th grade test that Amplify is, based on their curriculum, okay? And then the benchmarks are the beginning of your data. So if you see my screen, one thing that I want to tell you before we, Christy will probably hit on this, or whoever hits on accountability and data, is that over the summer, maybe, I don't know when, but the state added in low does not meet and high does not meet. And it is a huge win, because it just goes back to what Jacob said, that we've always focused on the middle kids, the little bubble kids, and we've just said, well, little Joe's always gonna fail, so we're not gonna focus on him too much because he's not gonna help us. He's already gonna hurt us, so it just is what it is. We'll teach him, but we're really gonna focus on these ones that we think we can do here during intervention. So it's always been a game with kids, and that's something that's always bothered me, when we wanna try to help every kid. So one of the biggest positives about the discussions that we all are having with teachers is that little Joe, who does not approach high and maybe was making a 30 on this test always, if they move to approaches, it's a huge point for accountability. Like huge. It's the same amount of points that we would get for someone that goes to meets. And so we're now seeing the need to push every single kid. And so it drives the conversation a lot differently. And I just like that, because it's always bothered me to play the accountability game and work with kids and not be looking at every single kid and how can we move them. I don't like the bubble kids, I guess is what I'm saying. And so this new process should be a lot better for all of us, and should help us in accountability, because we are growing a lot of kids from low does not approaches to high does not approaches, and so on. Okay, so real quick, this is gonna be fast and furious, and you're gonna need to take this home. But on the screen, you're gonna see our English benchmarks. You have 7th grade, 8th grade, English 1, and English 2. This is material that they've not covered for the whole year, right? Like, so it's the beginning of the year release star. So you see a lot of red and a lot of pink and purple. We don't want that, but that's expected. But then on the right-hand side, you see their first unit assessment, their CFA that they were given. If you look at 7th grade RLA, she taught her Amplified to a T. I've been in her classroom probably at least 8 times during her 7th or 8th grade reading instruction. They've been in her classroom, she's teaching her curriculum fidelity to a T. And you can see that 7th grade group knows the material that she taught for that test. And so, I only included their first assessment when it came to their unit assessments. Each teacher does reteaches and then does a retest for us to see retest data. But this is just initial first time taking the test that they learned from the material. So just wanted you to be able to see the comparison. We see a lot of blue in English 1 and English 2. That's fantastic. That means that they're right where they need to be. And then if you see on English, there's one when you're looking in here. If you follow along through this, it will go 7th grade reading, 8th grade reading, and then I want you to see on the rows for Emily, it says ECR. That is just a writing assessment, because we know that writing is a huge piece of our English EOCs, and so she did a full assessment on the writing piece. And then if you look at the English, you'll see a Unit 1 Gothic literature, and that's more of a multiple choice, maybe some short answers and things like that. But she's doing an amazing job with her curriculum. A big shout out to Region 14 for coming in and assisting with that. But that is reading. Does anyone have questions about reading? If you look at math benchmarks, you'll see we have in algebra, the last year's 8th graders, they're coming in a very low approaches. That pink is that's low approaches. And then your 7th graders, which we know that their data was pretty good in 6th grade last year. So we're gonna have a challenge with that 7th grade group because they're high. When you look at our data tracking board, and if you ever come to the high school and you wanna peek at our PLC room and look at it, I highly recommend that you come in and just take a peek. It's really cool to see the colors and the movement of where kids are at and where we're tracking them at. But this is a great look at just the difference in our kids and tracking to see if they're on track and doing what they're supposed to be doing. But this shows you, obviously, in math, 7th and 8th grade math teacher, beginning of the year assessment to just her first unit topic test. We see a lot of masters, a lot of meets in that 7th and 8th grade group. And then, the does not meet is a little bit higher than what you would want, but again, it's brand new material and it's tested in bulk. So it's not bad when you look at it in comparison to their star performances last year. We saw a lot of growth. And then your science benchmarks. Obviously, Jory always does an amazing job. She's a master's teacher. And so this is a Jory Van Vliet page right here. Beginning of the year science benchmarks. We have no data. So what we do, they take that really star assessment. They don't have a star assessment from the previous year because you really can't take 8th grade science and compare it to biology. It's 2 different animals. This isn't reading. So we give them that really star, and that's what we track our whole data, our whole year's data is based on. And so you can just see that 8th grade science, she barely had any students that did not pass. And so she's done an amazing job. That's probably 1 or 2 students if you look at her data. And then in history, your U.S. history, Coach Bodas came to me and they got very concerned how well his kids did. He was like, look at my kids. This is not good. He's like, this isn't good. I said, no, this is great. I went to his class a million times. He's teaching his curriculum, which he's implementing a new curriculum this year. This is a master's level teacher of the year, who is implementing a new curriculum on his own choice was to implement that. So he's implementing Loman, and so is our 8th grade teacher. And I don't have the data sheets for you in here, and that's because their assessments are being done in Loman, and we're still working with technology in Region 14 to figure out how to get data reports. But I can at least show you this from the beginning of the year, star benchmark, to where they are currently showing on their unit CFAs. And then, just some quick things I want you to know about our campus. When you start seeing things on Facebook, you know what we're doing and why we're doing it. One of the big pushes was WICR, and that just stands for Writing, Inquiry, Collaboration, Organization, and Leading. We, as a team, Jory Van Cleve, Liberty, Chrissy Shipman, Tandy Clausen, and myself, went to Dallas for a week this summer to a training. It was amazing. I went with principals, they went with other teachers, and then together we planned in the evening, and we wrote a 90-day plan. And in that 90-day plan, we decided to focus on writing and inquiry, because we felt like that we would get our biggest bang for our buck with our students. And so every PD day that we have in the district on those Fridays, these ladies are presenting 2 instructional strategies to the staff, making them practice it, making them write what it would look like in their lesson plans, and then they have to survey how the training went, and then they have to implement it in their classroom. And we're doing walkthroughs, not just the team walkthroughs, but every teacher on campus is doing walkthroughs. And we're tracking as a staff who's implementing it, what does it look like? Like, I went into Spanish and she was doing focus notes, note taking the other day, and that's exactly what we had just trained on. She used the template, she put it into her Spanish class, and so we're bragging and we're following up and making sure they're doing that. And then our PLCs, they're bi-weekly. We're not weekly at the high school, just can't with everything right now. So we have bi-weekly PLCs. We're doing the data tracking that you just looked at. We have the data board. We're looking at lesson internalization. Region 14 is coming out and assisting with that as well. And then we're just data-driven instruction. What didn't go well? How can we teach it? Whether it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes. At the high school level, we don't have that intervention block except for in junior high reading and math. So what we're doing at the secondary level is I've encouraged every teacher to get a crate and pick their lowest 3 TEKs that their whole class is struggling on, build a folder activity for it, and when you have any downtime, if you finish a test, instead of just letting them sit there and play on their computer, they go find a file folder for that TEK and they practice that, and then they reassess. And so the teachers are really excited about that process, and I know it doesn't sound like it would be exciting, but they've been really excited to bring their binders and their tubs to show us what they're building. And so we are focusing on, just to piggyback off Jacob and then Chanda's Foundations to Future, just all of us working together, we're building as a campus. And so we're doing master builders this year for teachers. The administrative team selected our first teacher, which was Addie Stevenson. And then from there, Addie has to do walkthroughs for 2 weeks. And she has to pick a teacher that's meeting our kids academically at the best level that she thinks. And so she chose Jory Van Cleve. And now Jory will pick this week. So be on the lookout for what teacher Jory picks. They sign that hard hat, and we take a picture. And then we have Bricks of the Week. I selected, along with Drew and David, we selected 2 students, Luke White and Ellie Moore, very deserving. Luke stayed out in the cafeteria and cleaned up after all of his peers. She was there, so he wouldn't have to run extra, and he was willing to take the tardy over having to run. And so obviously I waved his tardy and thanked him for for doing that for his peers. No one asked him to. And then Ellie, I don't think she wanted to, but man, I told her she didn't have a choice, and she sang the Piper song on the announcements. But now they're all singing it. I don't know if you noticed that, the game. You can hear them. And so it's getting better, and so we sing it every single day with the music over the intercom. And so it is hard to learn, and but we're making everybody sing it. And so I'm excited to be able to recognize those kids. And so they sign the helmet. We have a boy helmet and a girl's helmet. And at the end of the year, our Piper Pride students, we call it something else, I should play. But our students who get those awards at the end of the year, they will earn this helmet, and it'll be their trophy instead of a piece of paper. So I think that's pretty cool. And then we have the ring and sign bulletin board. Everybody thought I was crazy, and everybody told me it would never work because our kids will ring the bell and they'll write on the board, and I said, no, they won't, because we're gonna let every one of them sign it, or not sign it, but ring the bell at the beginning of the year so it's out of their system, and then we're gonna threaten them with ISS. Nobody has rang that bell. Nobody has touched it. You walk by it every single day since Coach Rhodes' classroom. No one has rang that bell just to be a stinker. And so our kids, it's a huge deal. You have to have done something like over the top to get to ring that bell and go sign it with a paint pen. And so this is not all the kids. We've had several, but it's been from passing TSI, helping a kid that had a medical emergency, and just all kinds of things. So those are the great things that are happening at our high school. Any questions?
When you do your walkthroughs, the teachers don't roll, right? Y'all just come in and observe?
Yes. I never give warning of a walkthrough. The only time that I do give warning of a walkthrough is if I'm working and coaching a teacher and I say, okay, I'm gonna come in the next 3 days during this period looking for this. And so, but that's very rare. Usually I always go unannounced.
And you're just mainly you know, observing and watching her teach and.
And the teachers who go, they don't tell them either, we just show up. And then the teachers who go are not going as administrators, they're going only to look for the positive and to learn things for themselves to implement. So,
And we do have, Megan's coaching some teachers on our campus, Katie is coaching teachers of elementary, and Christy's coaching teachers at both elementary and, high, and Michelle, you're coaching teachers at both too with Christy, and so, they do their weekly walks also, and then they come back and we meet as the three of us, Michelle, Christy, and I, and then we kind of line that out for our admin meeting, and then I started my one-on-ones, and so we do walks, that's unannounced, Jacob or myself with Morgan. So they're getting more walks than they probably ever have in their life, but I think that it's appreciative, and I have to say with both principals and Christy and Michelle, we started it last year trying to start to implement a little things, not this huge overwhelming shift. Remember, the curriculum Bluebonnet changed the name, it was Eureka and Amplify. So, but remember, they tweaked the little things the state of Texas did. But this year, we're really focused on both campuses with our professional learning communities, owning the data, having students know the data, teachers know the data. Last year, teachers could not speak to the data whatsoever. And so getting in that path of interventions, but just really good, solid teaching that is meeting every kid's needs, whether they need, enrichment or intervention, and taking that time. And I think it's already starting to see, if you go into any class, and please, if y'all wanna go, feel free, let me know, we can go walk classes, because you would see a huge, already at the beginning of the year, just even a difference from this year to last year, and the focus is on academics. You see it at the high school, serious business, and you see it at the elementary school. And so kudos to the team, because they've done a really good job, and also to the teachers, because, first weekend, people were teaching. So I think that's excellent, and, our kids deserve it, and people will finally start to see the excellent teachers that we have. More than just a letter grade, so I'm excited. But benchmarks, when you're looking at the data, I just wanna remind you, this was a release STAR test. So this is content that the kids have never been taught before, so don't look at it and be like, oh my gosh. You wanna see growth, that's what we're focused on. And this is also what we're using for TIA. Remember, we went away from map testing, except in K1? K2. And so now we're using STAR, and it's growth. So this test right here is what we're using for growth, to show teachers growth at the end of the year. But it's the data we use as a starting point to compare with last year, and then as they're doing their CFAs or their 10-day quick checks, to see where a kid is growing or if they're regressing. And so the teachers and the campuses took it really serious, so that way we have good data.
Thank y'all. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. I think everybody's had a chance to look that over. Any changes or dates or amendments to the minutes? And we have two sets of minutes from August 11th meeting and the August 25th meeting. If not, I will entertain that motion.
Should that be the same motion?
Yes.
Then I move we approve the consent agenda on both as presented.
Motion made by Derek, seconded by Jennifer. All in favor of that motion, signify with the right hand. 7-0. All right, one discussion item, and that is the new auditorium lighting.
All right, that's, so, we've known our auditorium is not necessarily up to par with lights or with the sound system, and so we did open up for bids. We thought we were gonna get another company, but we did not. We only got one. This is harder to find than what you can think, and so I kind of wanna go through it, and I want to take this home and look at it, and then we've gotta come back to the table and try to figure something out. So it is a huge amount. If you look, it's $142,000. This is the Rolls Royce. So I talked with Philly, and to see, like, really we need to do number 2, auditorium spotlight upgrade. It would change everything to LED. Our spotlights are not updated, they're in bad shape. This is replacing all your cans, all of your equipment. We also really need to do number 3. This is in order. So I have my notes from Philly, the expert. I have my notes number 3, and that is the rest of sure you have blind spots. Remember, we are hosting One Act Play, for junior high and high school for our district. And we have a beautiful facility that isn't used. Like, I would like for other people to want to use that. What if someone came in and wanted to do community theater? I mean, we just have an opportunity to use a facility, and I think it's not utilized, and it's because it is so outdated. And then, that would, like I said, move everything to LED, kind of update. The auditorium intercom system, we believe Chris can probably handle, correct?
Yes.
See, I have my notes right here. And then, the next big chunk is that audio system, which would, and this includes everything. This includes their travel, their labor, it would be new microphones, new sound system, new speakers, new everything. And so, we were hoping we were gonna have another bid today. They did not submit another bid, but I kinda want y'all to look it over. We'll talk about it at the next board meeting. If you have questions between now and then, please do. But reality is, and I'm gonna talk about a little bit my superintendent update. We have some great facilities, but we have facilities that are starting to be very outdated. And so the auditorium is definitely one. It's embarrassing to have events there and the sound system doesn't work. I know the principal, I know Morgan when she uses it, it's embarrassing because it makes it look like she's not prepared or she's doing something wrong, and that's not the case. And so, we just need to think about doing something, even if we just do the lights right now and then we budget for something else. And I can have Billy come talk to the next one. It's just, this is kind of where we're at, and those are the two that he definitely recommends. And if we could cut money somewhere, but we can't, because there's no point to not do LED lights. That's just, him and I have talked about everything, and I know he's talked with Becky, and we were, like I said, hoping we were gonna get the other bid. We've gone out, we called companies in Lubbock, we called companies in Dallas, we called companies everywhere. No one does this anymore. It's too cheap for them, and so, that's kind of where we're at. Are there any questions?
So this will come out of fund balance, or?
Yes.
So right now, what is it being used for?
The auditorium?
Yes, ma'am.
For One Act for sure, that's where we practice and do things. It's also where we have, band concerts, it's where we have all of our awards assemblies. We could probably utilize it for a lot more things, it's just the sound doesn't work. And when you're up there, normally the microphones don't work, and the light, there's dark spots. And so I think it's underutilized. I think like if we had a Christmas program at elementary, like just different things, you don't wanna do anything over there because it doesn't work. And so,
If it did work with graduation, ever be back there?
that's not anything that we've necessarily talked about, but it's something that we could possibly talk about. I don't know, we could maybe look into that, that's something. I can't say that that would be a yes.
I just wanted to be
Yes.
possible.
It could be, but One Act's like hosting, facilities, like different people, if we could get that up to date, it's a better facility than anyone in our district, to be quite honest. Other people could possibly look at like renting it for like area One Act and different things. Do I think we could do more with the auditorium? Sure. Off the top of my head, do either one of you think of anything?
We have like our veterans assembly that was kind of iron because it's been very work so hard and didn't have it. And the only thing I can add to graduation is I do know we've had talks about that with the senior class, and all the senior classes always voted that they would want it in the gym. Because of it's bright, it's bigger, you have more space to spread out. You can see, I've heard a lot of people say that in auditorium, you can't see over people's heads, you're crowded, you're packed in the seats. So that's just the things that I heard, about it.
The lighting's horrible.
It is, it's dark.
Band concerts, you can't see half the band because lights are out there. You have to be consistent for One Act Play, they have to, for other schools to use it, they have to meet certain guidelines, they have to be that way.
Which we're hosting. Did you have
Yes.
to say that?
We are hosting. So, because as for they closed that one building, because that's where they've always hosted them, so they're not utilizing that. So we were the only other school that have a facility.
Always horrible up there.
Right.
Anyway, they've always been horrible.
Amen.
So we have the best facility, and I think that, like I said, it's underutilized, but at the end of the day, even if we could just start with the lights.
That's possible. That'd be the most
priority?
Yes, number 2 and number 3. Number 2's first.
Okay,
So
it's right, just like that,
number 3
okay.
is 2. Yes, sir.
So on the audio system, has Chris looked at it or just?
Chris, do you wanna chime in? Because Chris has been a part of it with Billy.
So I have, over the past couple of years, I've got a couple different bids for the audio system itself. And I've been able to break down those bids, and I can order all the product, do the install, run the wires, all that good stuff for a good chunk less than what our bids have been. So we can either go off those bids that I've gotten in the past, or we can go off what I think I can do.
Is that the intercom system or the audio system?
Yeah, what's
The
the
audio.
difference?
So it's, the intercom is really just so your techs in the back running the lights can talk to your stage hands behind the stage, things like that. So I include it all together, so your audio and your, my brain was just somewhere.
Intercom.
Intercom is all mixed together, it's all related.
Because we got a bid last year, correct?
Yes.
For just the sound system, intercom, all
Right,
that
so the
stuff.
bid I got in previous years is just the intercom and then like the new projector, if we wanted to go that route. But I think we can survive with what we have, but get new sound equipment.
Which would be new speakers, new things. And then Billy and the lights, I talked to him, he said perhaps we could use some of our safety harnesses, but some clasps, but other than that, everything else would have to be new. There's nothing else. He said maybe we could save on labor, they can take down some of the stuff at the beginning, but once it's an install, of course, the company's only gonna do their stuff. He said there's nothing else because the expense is the LED lights and stuff. He said there's nothing else that they could do to save money.
My deal is, you know, if spending this type of money without me knowing, you know, we're hosting, you know. To me, if nobody hadn't said that, I'm thinking, we're spending a lot of money on something that we
Yeah.
just very seldom use. But now, you know, I think the more knowledge that we have of people of what it can be utilized for, that helps look at the price of what it's gonna cost to fix it.
I mean, because I would even like to, send it out to the community if we could get it updated. That would be a great place for churches and stuff to have.
Back in the day, that's where they
And that's
had
kind of what I'm
revivals.
used to. But it's just with it not being up to par, you don't really wanna, utilize it for
We had a
that.
Christmas, we had a church concert there last year, and I was nervous the whole time about them using that, just that it just, the light, everything out, the lights were horrible, all the things, I just was nervous about those doing, and I've heard some of this about some people that have shown interest in offering, dance to little kids. We need that so bad, like, I would put Lately in dance in a heartbeat, and just for them to be able to do little recitals up there, it would be awesome. All the towns around here have that.
Yeah, that was me, because when I first started looking at this, I'm thinking,
Right, it's a lot.
we're spending money on something, we moved graduation out, we moved,
Yeah.
pep rallies
It's
out.
all utilized.
Now that you're telling me this, then I can see, okay, well then, spending this type of money might be justified.
And if it gets up to date, then we can really try to start to have it be the center of the community also. I mean, we don't have a community center. Like for events and different things, so maybe it can be utilized and drawn for that. Anyway, we can brainstorm as an admin team and try to think of some ways to use it. I just wanted to start the process for y'all to look at it, and see. Like I said, my recommendation would be lights, and I'll kind of talk about something I have in mind for the rest of it. That's kind of where we're at. So if y'all have questions, once y'all look at it, let me know.
Any other comments or questions? If not, let's move on to our action items. Action 7.1, consider approval of the Jones County Appraisal Board nomination resolutions. Any comment on that? Okay, we do this every year. This is just the nominations, not necessarily the vote. Tucker Teague is our local representative. He's agreed to run again. Anybody have any comment or on that? If not, I'll entertain that motion. not voting, it's just nominating, we're just nominating.
And then they go there.
And we'll vote, I think, next month.
I move to approve Tucker City as the Hamlin, Georgia ISD's nominee to the Jones County Appraisal Board.
Motion made by Sheila, seconded by Dr. White. All in favor of that motion, signify with the right hand. 7-0. All right, same thing for the Stonewall County Appraisal Board nominations. It looks like we get to nominate 4, is that right, Lisa?
Yes.
There's only 3 blanks, but I think we get to nominate 4. All have agreed to rerun that are on it currently. So unless anybody has any other comments, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve the resolution nominating John Dan Olson and Molly Renee Sykes and Todd Spitzer as HCIC nominees to Stonewall County Appraisal Board.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Terry, seconded by Dr. White. All in favor of that motion, signify with the right hand. 7-0. All right, next one is consider approval of the SB 12 resolution.
So Senate Bill 12 is your parental rights law, which is a doozy. If you wanna have fun, nighttime reading, feel free. If you wanna spend days with me to go over Senate Bill 12, feel free. We can have lots of fun, but, this is basically a resolution listing 25 things that we're saying as a district, we are or are not going to do. If you look, a couple of weeks ago, we sent home forms that parents now have to sign. That's part of Senate Bill 12. You have to sign a form to be able to see the nurse. You have to sign a form to be able to be in FCA. You have to sign a form to be in student council. You have to sign a form to basically, do all sorts of things. And so both elementary and high school, sent home those forms. And so that's part of this resolution, that we're following all of the laws that were put in place. Now, this last legislative session, the focus is that parents have all the rights, the schools no longer have the rights, and so they're trying to give rights back to parents, and so I will tell you, we're passing this resolution, but I will tell you that there's more coming from TASB and from the state in clarification, because districts really don't know. So this was given to us from TASB, and we are currently following all things, we've updated all of our policies, to be legal and binding. One of the things that also includes is, grievance policy has changed, all sorts of things. Parents used to only have 15 days or 10 days, now they have 90. And so, yes, there's a lot. So until we get, we're updated right now, until we get further, but what we wanted to do as a district to show in good faith that we are following everything with Senate Bill 12 is to make sure that, we adopt the resolution to show that everything that the legislators want, and that's legal. We also are doing that here in Hamlet with the eyes. So that's what this is.
Any other questions?
You can go against it, but we've breaking the law. And some districts are not passing a resolution. We don't know what will happen to them. And some districts are changing some of this and opting out of it in their, district of innovation plan, which we are a district of innovation. I decided not to do that because there's not enough, guidance from the state yet to do that, and I feel like the state put this out there, the legislators, we might as well just follow the letter of the law, and once more stuff comes out, we can change it after, but let's just be legal now and do what they've asked us to do. So that's why we're gonna do the resolution. Most districts around us in Region 14 are doing the resolution. Yes, it's a lot. So that's what this is.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain that motion. I don't think there's an action sheet on that. So.
I move the board approve the Senate Bill 12 resolution as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Jennifer, seconded by Derek. All in favor of that motion, signify with the right hand. 7-0. And our last action item is to consider approval for the bank depository extension for 2025 through 2027. Becky, you got any comments on that?
This is our last extension, we did two, so this is our third one, it's 6 years of extension. And so, in the next 2 years, when it comes due, we'll go back out for bids again, from that, this will be our third extension. We good for 2 years.
I move to approve the resolutions in the depository contract and funds as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made by Sheila, seconded by Jennifer. I'm gonna abstain from this vote, so all in favor of that motion, signify by the right hand. 6-0 with myself abstaining. Now, superintendent report.
Becky, do you want to have anything for financial?
This is just wrapping up the end of the year, there's not anything big or anything, in their range, we're just wrapping up the end of August, so just a few things, not much, especially like the cash reports.
And the audit is
Wednesday,
Whiskey.
so we'll be next morning.
Becky's had a lot of audits, cafeteria audit, closing up the school year, creating the new school year's budget, and then now this, so she's done a lot of work.
Wednesday will be.
We have, no new hires or resignations. A couple of things that I wanna touch on, goes back to the auditorium and facilities. And I had Dr. White reach out, which I totally agree. Michelle and I actually had this conversation at the football game about, handicap seating. They were gone, there was no seating, and so I often worry about, some of our facilities, not being handicap accessible, and they're just outdated. Dr. White had reached out, which was already on my mind, about new handicap seating or what we can do, and it's, the incline and stuff is just dangerous, and so the worst thing that I want to have happen is for someone to get hurt, but it's outdated, and so I've already reached out to have a facilities audit done, and they're coming to do a facilities audit on October 28th. They'll do it with Billy, and then they'll report the findings, and so the reason why I'm telling you all this is because I think that we're going to find that we're going to be having to look at possibly doing a fall soon. I think we have a lot of facilities that are outdated and not in compliance, and so like the football stadiums for one. I think that that's a bigger issue than what we can afford to do as a district in our fund balance. Even here, if anyone really were to want to come, you can't come in, you have to go through that door. And so, there's just a lot of things, and that's why I've asked for them to come in and do the facility, audit, so they can audit all of our facilities. And we can kind of come together and look at that and go from there.
When was our last one? Quite a while ago, 5 years.
A long time ago. And so, I know it's not necessarily the best time, because I do know, what was just recently with different things with the city, but I think it's something we're gonna have to look at, come back with those findings, they'll present to us if we would like for them to, and kind of come together as a board and kind of decide what our future is going to be. Long range, there is not a long range, facility plan in this district, so we will have one created. There is not a short-term facility plan in this district. One of the things I can tell you that we are going to really, and one of the things will be technology. We do not have the money to, for a one-to-one, we do not have money to repair or get new devices. Am I correct, everyone? Yes. And so that's something we don't have the budget to constantly replace them, and so they're getting outdated. So we're gonna have to look at doing some different things, and so, that's why I had reached out to their retired superintendents. That's what they do, they help do bonds. They come and met with me, when did they come? July, August, and I asked for them to do, this, so we can start looking at where we're at as a district, because we do not have a long-term facility plan. So, that's what will be created, and then I can come back, but that's why I said it was timely, Dr. White, because I noticed the same thing, and it always worries me. I just worry about some of our facilities, and then our elderly, and wanting it to be community-focused, and it's just some of the things I feel are not safe. And it's also a bottleneck, that stadium is also a bottleneck. I mean, you can't even go, and you're stuck, and you saw the lines, because it's just, so there's just some things we need to look at, so.
Well, even that first row, it's hard to walk down it, if you got any type of
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
walking.
But if you've been on the visitor side, we have, loose boards constantly, some unsafe things, we've had to fix some things, even at some of the other football games, and so I just wanna make sure that we're safe for anyone who visits. That's the last thing that we want, and so, anyway, that's kind of where we were, so it was.
I wanted an easy fix, by the way, I didn't want to.
No, I know you did, but unfortunately, you did, yes, and I wish there could be an easy fix. I don't know how we could make it easy without, I don't think that there is a way. And I've talked with Billy about that, and that's kind of my concern is where we're at with our facilities and what we're gonna do to maintain them and make them safe and continue to utilize them.
Yeah, I had a family stop me Friday night.
Of course, Friday's an exception,
It
it was,
is.
most people.
And that's what I told them, I said,
You know, long.
yeah, I said,
But even on.
but those are the best, those are the best time to catch somebody.
Sure,
It's just,
yeah.
it's amazing how they can catch board members when they're walking down there. And was asked about that.
But those ramps are uneven, when you have walkers or any of that, it's just kind of unsafe, you can lose your balance and think quickly, and then having that congestion right there, to me, makes it unsafe if someone isn't, sure-footed, even if they're not in a, walker or something. I just think there's a lot of, we want people to come and grow, and we want the community to grow, and so it's something we're gonna have to look at for growth, it is, so. So yes, you wanted a quick fix, but it was perfect segue. Thank you, Dr. White. So we are looking into it, and I'll talk with Billy to see if there's anything we can do in the meantime to try and fix some of those things. The other thing is about the scorecard. We haven't forgot. We've been working on it. We are meeting with Dr. Duran, Michelle, and Christy and myself next week for a Zoom. We have put everything in. Basically, we just have like a couple more areas. She already has it, and that's what she's going to provide feedback that we haven't finished, and we can have it presented to you guys, hopefully by our next board meeting in October. So I just wanted to give y'all an update with that. And then we have our first superintendent chat with leadership. Now we have our first superintendent and chat with leadership on October 1st at 8 a.m. I'll be here. We've already been advertising it on Facebook. We will continue to advertise, and so what it's going to be is, I've asked for the leadership team to be here. It's just gonna be very informal. It's just going to be, we're gonna tell them what we're doing this year, kind of our future, what our year looks like, and then we'll open it up. They can talk about anything they wanna talk about. If they have complaints, concerns, wonderful things, that's great too. We always take feedback, and so hopefully we have the community show up. We're gonna do different times throughout the year. This is just our first one. So, that one will be starting, and then we're gonna be starting our superintendent advisory, which are gonna be students 6 through 12. We already have the names, and so I will be starting that with the leadership team, in October. And then the last thing real quick is, I submitted a grant to the Moody Foundation for $1 million, so fingers crossed we get it. It would be a game changer for college-bound kids. It's focused, like I mentioned before, on college. I finished writing it with CEN, and they're really excited about it because there are no rural schools that have that focus. We do really well with trades, but we want to do really well with college and building that college culture also. And so if we get it, we would already start to get funds in December. So fingers crossed, because we'll find out soon. And so it has been submitted. I think the final amount, what was $1.3 million, is what we put in for. So, hopefully we hear some good news on that. That's all I have.
I asked about, a couple of meetings ago, about, the write-ups that, like, when someone leaves.
Oh, yes. We had one person leave, so far, and that person did not do an exit interview. So I have not had anyone else did I say I was gonna get past ones?
I believe you did.
Okay, sorry, I'll get that. That's my fault. I was thinking the ones moving forward. We did have one person who left the district and they did not do the exit interview.
Thank you.
Next board meeting?
I'm going to suggest October 13th,
October.
Columbus Day, for Indigenous
Earl be here that meeting? Do we need to, that being a holiday, will that affect him any?
I don't think it will, but
Anybody have opposed to that?
Works for me.
Yeah. Fine. Any other comments about block?
And I'll work on that, compiling what I can get.
I have 6:01, I'll adjourn this meeting.